Welcome back to DIY Wood Revival. Today, I'm going to show you how I built this entryway unit. Let's get started.
I'm going to start with the slatted back of this unit. For this I'll be using 12mm pine plywood. I ripped 20 4cm pieces down with a circular saw and a straight edge. This took a while, but having the plywood at the right height on these sawhorses that I put together made it much easier. And if you want to see how I put them together, there's a link in the description. Moving on, I gave all the edges of the slats a quick touch up with a mouth sander. I had a fairly new blade on the saw, so there was minimal tear up. Next I joined all the slats together using screws and a dab of glue. I had a 1cm spacer to put between the slats as I joined them together to speed up the process. Slicing the plywood up to slats will give the piece extra texture and depth and make it a lot more visually interesting. Finally, for more support, I added some extra horizontal slats. Next I'll start working on the base storage section by awkwardly lifting this 18mm plier onto the sawhorse. I went with 18mm plier to add strength to the unit and have a solid base to attach the slats to. I ripped down what I needed for the base of the circular saw, and then pre-drilled all the screw holes on the end sections. I also countersunk these so that I can cap off all the screws with dowels for a cleaner look. Next I was ready for assembly. These corner clamps are super helpful for holding everything in place while I drive in the screws. As you can see, I went quite deep with the shell size. This is because I have size 13 shoes and I didn't want them to hang out the end. I came back the next day after gluing and screwing the base together and added the dowel caps. The dowels I had were a touch tight and I didn't want to risk splitting the plywood, so I tapered off the ends using a drill and sandpaper. Put a dab of glue on the holes and tapped in the dowels with a hammer. Came back and trimmed the dowels with a pull saw and a piece of card to protect the ply. A quick touch up with the sander and it was looking fresh. The final step was the legs. I went with a simple angled leg design, cut out of 18mm plywood. I used a jigsaw to cut out the inner edge of these legs, and when I finished the first leg, I traced it over onto another piece of plywood and repeated the process. I'm not a big fan of the jigsaw, but I found if you take your time you can get half decent cuts with it. Finally, I added a couple of stretches to join the legs together and capped the screws with dowels in the same way. To attach the legs to the base, I'll be using dowels and glue. Pre-drilled the holes with a mark on my bit to ensure that I didn't go all the way through the base. Quick slap of glue and a few clamps and it was starting to come together. The dowels are a bit tight, so I slowly and evenly added pressure to the clamps to avoid breaking the dowels. When that was done, I attached the slats to the back of the base using wood screws. I didn't use any glue here as it's almost 2 meters tall and I wanted to be able to dismantle it if I needed. Once that was done, I applied 2 coats of Danish oil to seal it up and give that plywood a bit more colour. The last step was to add the hardware. I went for these matte black coat hooks and key hooks because they give this piece a modern look. To attach them, I clamped a straight edge to the slats to use as a guide and then drove down the screws. And with that, I was done. I'm stoked with how this came out. Super clean with a modern look, and those slats give it a bunch of character. I really like the contrast of the matte black hooks on the plywood. It also helps keep everything organised and makes a functional transition zone between the outdoor and interior of a home.
If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more DIY wood revival content. Thanks for watching.